Hello, everyone. Welcome to our season 2 of Clarity in Business Strategy and Growth. Today, we are working on episode 5, which is identifying your ideal client. I want you to know that I've not used target client, I've used the word ideal client. I want us to understand why it is important for you to identify your ideal client for your business. We have so many reasons, but I've picked top 3, which is focus, packaging, and positioning. I will start with the first why, with focus. In my previous episode, I keep talking about business, the BUSYNESS. You're always in business instead of being in business, the actual business, BUSINESS. Some of the reasons as to why you're always busy with no results for your business is not knowing your ideal client. Why is it important for you to know your ideal client? Focus. What I'm talking about is when you get to know your ideal client, your resources, the money you use, either for marketing or to finance or to fund your products, to finance your activities, that plays a very big role. If you don't have focus, what will actually happen is that your resources will be scattered. Your team will be moving from one client to the other, assuming you have like 10 possible clients. But who is actually your ideal client? The 1, 2, 3 that you can actually focus on getting and not being everywhere. Why is it also important under this angle? Energy. I always talk about doing your time and energy audit. Time, energy versus profitability. When you're busy without a focus on your ideal client, what will actually happen is that your focus will be on the wrong things. You'll be working on things that you're actually not supposed to be doing. So what happens at the end of the day? You'll notice that 80% of your time will be on firefighting because something has gone wrong or it is not simply working. 20% is what you're trying to run to try and salvage the situation. So under focus, 2 key points: energy used, resources in terms of your team, and the amount of money that you use in your initiatives to acquire this particular client. The other way of getting to know your ideal client is packaging. How does your client want their product or services? How do you package that product or service for your client to be able to identify it and associate with it? When you're talking about packaging, we are talking about, there's something I like calling bundling, where you have maybe a number of service or products, but they are all correlated, or maybe not, but one will help with the purchase of the other, or one will help with the awareness of your business, or something like that. So under packaging, there's a price. On the bundling, why is this important? How you price your product will define which client you are looking for. How you bundle or how you package, put them together for consumption by the market will determine who your ideal client is for your business. Then the other way of knowing your ideal client is positioning. So with positioning, the way of getting to know your ideal client, how you position yourself will determine whether you're going to attract clients to you or you're going to sell. Wrong positioning means you have the right product but in the wrong room. What will happen is that you're going to get frustrated. You'll always be wondering, why are people not buying my product or services? Because you're positioned wrongly. That particular product or service is possibly meant for a different clientele. So it is important for you to know which rooms or which places your products needs to be seen. So remember, wrong positioning of your products or services, you'll get the wrong client. You'll end up getting frustrated. You'll end up using a lot of resources and energy trying to reduce your prices constantly to justify your services. So positioning is very important. Once you get to know what your product is, how you place it in the market or in the rooms, will make a very big difference compared to if you don't know where to position those products. So enough of the why. I want us to talk about the how, because we often talk about positioning, packaging, branding, pricing, and all those things. But no one really speaks about the how. So I have 3 key pointers that we'll be addressing today. The first one is just, I like telling my clients or people to just take a step back and put yourself on the other side of the shoe. Like there's you, who's the owner of the product, the mind, the brain. Then there's the client, who's the consumer and the person who's supposed to buy your products. As a client, if I'm seated on this other side as a client now, not as a producer, one of the reflective questions I would ask myself is, who really benefits from my solution? If I was that client, is this solution I'm providing really benefiting me? So it's very important to also put yourself on that side of the shoe. But again, even putting out notes, I always advise people, take a white piece of paper, no lines, no nothing, and a pencil. Answer this question: who benefits from my solution or from my products? Who is that person? All right. Then the next step is, once you're able to answer this question on who benefits, that person who you pick, you need to understand their traits. And the traits is all about the mindset, goals, and pain points. When you're talking about the mindset, is this person, is this ideal client ready for my solution? If it is a yes, I can go ahead and pitch or approach or give a proposal, or even go ahead and sell the product. If the mindset is off, that is not gonna work, because possibly they have other priorities that at that moment your product is not a priority. As a business development person or as a founder, because when you're a founder, you're actually the key or core business developer in your company. You need to be able to know what state of mind that particular client you're approaching is at. And you need to know when to step back and which season to actually push on, and how to even do a continuous follow-up if they're not in that right mindset. Again, you also need to understand your client's goals. Why do they want your solution? What is the goal? What is that thing that they are looking for, that they want to achieve? Always respect that and learn that you need to have this constantly on your mind. The other part of the how is understanding their pain points. When you're giving a solution or a product, you need to first of all be able to ask. Actually, sometimes what I do is I ask, what are the challenges? What are the gaps? Sometimes even the pitch that I had prepared, depending on the response on the pain point, changes to address this pain point. Why? Because you are addressing the solution you're giving to this client. So what are these pain points? So it needs to go hand in hand. If the pain point is not addressed by your solution, you get to lose, because you are not a priority for that client. But if you're able to hit the pain point, or to hit the pain point and address how your solution will be able to solve the pain point, you're good. You'll possibly get a client for life and more referrals for your product. So the third how is defining that problem that comes from the pain point. Remember, we talked about understanding the pain point, which includes understanding the challenge, gaps, and how the solution fills or supports this gap. But again, you also need to be able to define the problem. With this knowledge, you are able to sort of take a step back. Remember, take a step back to always put yourself in the shoes of the client. What is that thing that will keep them up at night? With your solution, what is that transformation, impact that you will have for your clients to get more referrals and to be able to sell again in the future? Once you define the problem, the struggles, by even having a list of questions like this: what keeps my client up at night? What transformation or impact am I going to have with this client? The other way I define problem is, if I walk into a room and people are talking about a product, what issues will they be talking about? That is how you also identify pain points. Try to always put yourself in that shoe of the client that you want to look at. So this is a simple, very simple defined way of identifying your ideal client. Remember, we started with the why, given with the answers, focus, packaging, positioning, then the how. 3 hows. Who benefits from my solutions? What are the traits, mindset, goal, pain points? Then defining the problem and the struggles by asking questions, simple questions. Remember to always put yourself on this other side of you being a client to your own products. So I am happy to help you on this. Looking forward on our next season, episode 6, where we'll be talking about identifying your ideal partners and the different levels of partners. For more information on how to get a proper ideal client list for your business, get in touch with us on the contacts below. Clarity That Leads Academy is a school that provides sessions on business, clarity, strategy, and leadership for the growth of your organization. We help the individuals, the business leaders, founders to be able to run their business as we create the strategies for their business. Thank you.